The scorching Pakistani sun beat down, dust swirled. Two figures met, Ahmed Ajaj and Ramzi Yousef. Their paths had converged, drawn together by a shared hatred, a hatred that festered and burned for the West. Their target, the very heart of America, the World Trade Center. Ajaj, a quiet, intense young man, clutched a worn Quran. His eyes held a fanatic gleam. He believed his destiny lay in bringing down the great Satan. Yousef, a skilled manipulator, exuded an air of quiet confidence. He possessed a sharp intellect and a chilling lack of empathy. They spoke in hushed tones. A plan began to form. A plan so audacious, so evil, it would shake the world to its core. The World Trade Center, those towering symbols of American might, would crumble. They were no longer just men. They were instruments of destruction, soldiers in a holy war. Their plan required a new life, new identities. Ahmed Ajaj became a Swedish businessman. His passport, a forgery, promised safe passage. Ramzi Yousef transformed into a British student, eager to explore the opportunities of the West. Their deception ran deep, a testament to their commitment. They boarded separate flights, their destination, New York City. The plane roared, carrying them closer to their target. Each mile was a victory, every minute a step closer to their goal. Ajaj clutched his briefcase, his knuckles white. Inside, hidden amongst innocent-looking documents, lay the key to their plan: bomb-making manuals and instructional tapes. Deadly knowledge, carefully concealed. Their hearts pounded with a mixture of fear and anticipation. The journey had begun. There was no turning back. The harsh glare of airport lights greeted Ajaj. Immigration officials scrutinized his passport. Something wasn't right. The paper felt wrong. The photo slightly off. His heart pounded in his chest, a drumbeat of fear against his ribs. He was detained, questioned, his belongings searched, the manuals, the tapes discovered. A chill ran down his spine. Had their plan been foiled before it began? Yousef watched from afar. His heart sank as he saw his accomplice led away. But he had a backup plan. He approached the authorities, feigning innocence. He claimed asylum, a desperate plea for freedom. To his relief, he was released, a bureaucratic oversight, a stroke of luck. Yousef was free to continue their mission. The bomb-making materials, however, remained in the hands of the authorities, or so they thought. Ramzi Yousef was a ghost in the city. He moved from one dingy motel to another, always looking over his shoulder. He sought out mosques, not for solace, but for recruits. His words dripped with venom, painting a picture of a West determined to destroy Islam. He found fertile ground for his poisonous ideology. Young men, angry and disillusioned, flocked to his message. They saw him as a savior, a leader who understood their rage. One such man was Mohammad Salameh. Salameh was a lost soul, adrift in a city that seemed to offer him nothing but hardship and prejudice. Yousef's words were like a lifeline, offering him purpose and belonging. He pledged his loyalty, eager to prove his worth. The group grew. A brotherhood of hate, bound by a shared desire for revenge. They were ready to die for their cause, and they were about to unleash hell on Earth. Section 5. The Alchemist's Lair, concocting chaos in Jersey City. The air hung heavy with the stench of chemicals. A haze of smoke filled the cramped Jersey City apartment. This was no longer a home, it was a bomb factory. Yousef, the master bomb maker, directed his team with cold precision. He had retrieved the bomb-making materials from the authorities, a simple court order, a bureaucratic bungle, and the tools of destruction were back in his hands. Fate, it seemed, was on his side. They worked tirelessly, driven by a toxic mix of zealotry and hate. The bomb took shape. A deadly cocktail of urea nitrate, fuel oil, and compressed gas. A weapon of mass destruction, crafted with meticulous care. The apartment walls bore witness to their deadly work. Chemical stains, like the markings of some demonic ritual, scarred the once ordinary surfaces. The air crackled with tension, a palpable sense of impending doom. Section 6. Ticking clock. The bomb takes shape. Days turned into weeks. The bomb grew larger, more menacing. It dominated the small apartment, a constant reminder of their deadly goal. The pressure mounted with each passing hour. Yousef, ever the calm leader, never betrayed a hint of doubt. Salameh, however, struggled to contain his nerves. He oscillated between moments of feverish activity and bouts of crippling anxiety. The enormity of what they were about to do weighed heavily on him. But there was no turning back. The final piece of the puzzle was the delivery vehicle. They chose a yellow rider van, its nondescript appearance the perfect disguise for their deadly cargo. The van, once a symbol of everyday life, was now a vessel of destruction. They loaded the bomb into the back of the van, its weight a tangible manifestation of their hate. The countdown had begun. Section 7. February 26, 1993. A day of infamy. The morning of February 26 dawned bright and clear, with the city bathed in the soft glow of the rising sun. It seemed like an ordinary winter day in New York City, with people bustling about, wrapped in their coats and scarves. Thousands of people made their way to work, oblivious to the horror that awaited them beneath the Twin Towers. The lobby buzzed with the usual morning energy. Yet the air crackled with an unseen energy, a sense of foreboding that went unnoticed by the busy crowds. Salameh, his face pale and drawn, drove the van into the public parking garage beneath the North Tower, his heart pounding. His hands trembled on the steering wheel, betraying his inner turmoil and fear. He parked the van, set the timer with shaking fingers, and fled the scene as quickly as he could. At 12:18 p.m., the bomb detonated with a force that shook the very foundations of the building. A deafening roar ripped through the underground garage. The ground shook violently, as if the earth itself was rebelling. A massive fireball erupted, engulfing everything in its path with a ferocity that left no chance for escape. Smoke and debris billowed skyward, choking the air with the stench of death and destruction. Above ground, chaos reigned as people tried to comprehend the disaster. People screamed and ran for their lives, their faces etched with terror and confusion. The towers swayed precariously, as if struck by a giant fist. The unthinkable had happened, and the city would never be the same again. Section 8. Retribution, the long arm of justice. The dust settled, revealing a scene of unimaginable devastation. The once bustling urban area was now a ghost town, filled with the echoes of the past. A crater 6 stories deep marked the spot where the bomb had detonated. It was a grim reminder of the destructive power that had been unleashed. Twisted metal, shattered concrete, and the charred remains of vehicles littered the garage. The scene was a chaotic mosaic of destruction. The air was thick with the smell of burning and the coppery tang of blood. It was a sensory assault that left a lasting impression on all who were there. 6 innocent people lost their lives that day, including a pregnant woman. Their memories were honored in a somber memorial. Over 1,000 more were injured. Hospitals were overwhelmed with the influx of victims, each with their own harrowing story. The physical scars would heal, but the psychological trauma would linger for years to come. Support groups and counseling sessions became a lifeline for many. The FBI launched a massive manhunt. Every available resource was mobilized to track down those responsible. The VIN number on the mangled remains of the van led them to the rider rental agency. It was a crucial piece of evidence that set the investigation on the right path. Mohammad Salameh, his face plastered across wanted posters, was soon apprehended. His capture was a significant breakthrough. His accomplices, their faces etched with fear, were rounded up one by one. The net was closing in on the entire network. The investigation revealed the chilling truth. The bombing was not the work of lone wolves, but of a sophisticated terrorist cell, financed and directed from abroad. It was a stark reminder of the global reach of terrorism. The world watched in horror as the details of the plot unfolded. News channels broadcasted the story around the clock, and people everywhere were glued to their screens, seeking answers and justice. Section 9. Scars on the Skyline. The legacy of a near miss. The 1993 World Trade Center bombing was a watershed moment in American history. It shattered the illusion of American invulnerability, exposing the nation's vulnerability to the growing threat of Islamic terrorism. The attack was a grim reminder that even the most fortified structures could be breached. The attack sent shockwaves around the world, signaling a dangerous escalation in global terrorism. It was a wake-up call for many, but the full implications were not yet understood. The Twin Towers, once symbols of American ingenuity and prosperity, now bore the scars of that fateful day. The physical damage was extensive, but it was the emotional and psychological wounds that cut the deepest. The physical damage was repaired, but the psychological impact lingered. The memory of the attack haunted the city, a constant reminder of the fragility of peace. The attack cast a long shadow, a constant reminder of the fragility of peace and the ever-present threat of terror. It was a scar on the skyline, a symbol of vulnerability. The 1993 bombing was a wake-up call, a stark warning that went unheeded. Despite the clear signs, the world was not fully prepared for what was to come. 8 years later, the world watched in horror as those same towers crumbled to dust, victims of an even more devastating attack. The lessons of the past had not been learned. The legacy of the 1993 bombing serves as
the World Trade Center, a marvel of modern engineering and a testament to human ambition. These towers were more than just buildings, they were symbols of progress and prosperity, standing tall and proud in the heart of New York City, a symbol of American ambition. The Twin Towers represented the pinnacle of architectural achievement and economic power. They were a beacon of hope and opportunity, drawing people from all walks of life to their doors, a bustling hub of commerce. Every day, thousands of people flowed through the plaza, each with their own story, their own dreams. The energy was palpable, a constant hum of activity that never seemed to wane. On February 26, 1993, it was just another Friday. The day began like any other, with people going about their routines, unaware of the dark cloud looming on the horizon. Janine Alia, an office manager, prepared for a routine day on the 45th floor of the North Tower. She organized her desk, the familiar hum of the city below, a comforting presence. The view from her window was breathtaking, a daily reminder of the city's grandeur. She organized her desk, the familiar hum of the city below, a comforting presence. The skyline stretched out before her, a sea of buildings and dreams. It was a view she never tired of, a constant source of inspiration. In the underground parking garage, Tim Lang, a maintenance worker, went about his duties. The air was thick with exhaust fumes, the silence punctuated by the occasional car engine. It was a world away from the bustling offices above, a hidden realm of shadows and machinery. The air was thick with exhaust fumes, the silence punctuated by the occasional car engine. Tim moved through the dimly lit space, his mind focused on the tasks at hand. It was just another day, or so it seemed. It was an ordinary day until it wasn't. The routine, the normalcy, was about to be shattered in an instant. At precisely 12:18 p.m., a yellow Ryder van entered the public parking garage. The driver, unaware of the evil he carried, parked on the B2 level. He had no idea that his actions would soon change the course of history. The driver, unaware of the evil he carried, parked on the B2 level. Inside the van, a time bomb ticked away, its presence hidden beneath the mundane exterior of the vehicle. Inside the van, a time bomb ticked away. The seconds slipped by, each one bringing the inevitable closer. The device was primed, ready to unleash its destructive force. 1,500 pounds of explosives ready to unleash chaos. The countdown had begun. In the blink of an eye, the ordinary would become extraordinary, and the world would never be the same. The Ryder van, a symbol of everyday life, was now a vessel of destruction. Unseen, unheard, the bomb ticked down to its deadly purpose. Its creators, driven by a twisted ideology, sought to cripple the heart of America. They believed their act would send a message of fear and hate. But in the offices above, life went on, unaware of the danger lurking below. Janine answered phones, her attention on work deadlines. Tim finished his rounds, the thought of lunch on his mind. Neither of them suspected the horror that awaited. The clock ticked on, each second bringing the inevitable closer. The city outside, oblivious to the impending disaster, continued its relentless pace. The earth shuddered. A deafening roar ripped through the air. The North Tower, once a symbol of strength, shook to its core. A monstrous explosion originating from the depths of the parking garage sent shockwaves through the building. Dust and debris filled the air, plunging the once brightly lit offices into darkness. Panic seized the occupants of the North Tower. Screams pierced the smoke-filled air as people scrambled for safety. The blast, felt for blocks, sent a plume of smoke billowing into the sky. The heart of New York City was under attack. In the blink of an eye, the ordinary became extraordinary. The day transformed from routine to survival. Janine, thrown from her chair, found herself in a world turned upside down. The office, once a place of routine and order, was now a chaotic mess of overturned furniture and shattered glass. The explosion had come out of nowhere, leaving everyone in a state of shock and confusion. Darkness enveloped her, the air thick with the smell of burning. The once clear and bright office space was now a dim, smoky cavern. She could barely see a few feet in front of her, the thick smoke stinging her eyes and making it hard to breathe. Disoriented and afraid, she could hear the terrified cries of her colleagues. The sounds of panic and fear echoed through the smoke-filled room, each cry a reminder of the dire situation they were in. She tried to call out, but her voice was lost in the chaos. Tim, knocked off his feet, lay in the darkness. He struggled to get up, his body aching from the impact. The darkness was disorienting, making it hard to find his bearings. He could hear the muffled sounds of his colleagues, but they seemed so far away. The air was heavy with dust, making it difficult to breathe. Each breath was a struggle, the dust and smoke filling their lungs and making them cough. The once clean and sterile office air was now a toxic mix of smoke, dust, and fear. Fear, raw and primal, surged through him. He was trapped. The realization hit him like a punch to the gut, the fear almost paralyzing him. He had to find a way out, but every direction seemed blocked by debris and smoke. The once familiar surroundings of the parking garage had transformed into a terrifying labyrinth of twisted metal and concrete. What was once a place of safety and routine was now a dangerous maze, each step fraught with danger. The way out was blocked by rubble, the air filled with the sounds of sirens in the distance. The distant wail of sirens was a haunting reminder of the chaos outside, but it also brought a glimmer of hope that help might be on the way. Above, Janine and her colleagues felt the tower sway. The building, once a symbol of stability, now felt like it could collapse at any moment. Each sway of the tower sent a fresh wave of fear through the trapped occupants. The stairwells, their only escape route, were filling with smoke. The path to safety was becoming more treacherous with each passing second, the smoke making it nearly impossible to see or breathe. Panic threatened to consume them. The fear and uncertainty were overwhelming, each person struggling to keep calm in the face of such chaos. They knew they had to find a way out, but the path to safety seemed more uncertain than ever. Section 5. Race against time. First responders, their faces grim, raced towards the chaos. Firefighters, paramedics, and police officers, their training kicking in, confronted the unimaginable. They were met with a scene of utter devastation. The injured, covered in dust and blood, stumbled out of the wounded tower. Each breath was a struggle for Tim. He knew he had to escape the collapsing structure, but the way out was blocked. Above, Janine, her voice hoarse from shouting, guided her colleagues through the smoke-filled stairwell. They stumbled down, flight after flight, the darkness adding to the terror. Every cough, every gasp for air was a reminder of the danger they were in. Time was running out. Section 6. Piecing together the puzzle. As the dust settled, the true horror of the attack became clear. 6 innocent lives lost, over 1,000 injured. The world watched in disbelief as the investigation began. The FBI launched a massive manhunt, determined to bring the perpetrators to justice. The bomb, a crude but deadly device, left behind clues. A vehicle identification number, partially intact, provided a crucial lead. The VIN led them to Mohammad Salameh, who had rented the rider van. His arrest opened a Pandora's box, leading investigators to a network of terrorists operating on American soil. The mastermind, Ramzi Yousef, had already fled the country, but the net was closing in. Section 7's Justice Prevails. The trial of the World Trade Center bombers sent shockwaves through the nation. The world listened as the details of the plot unfolded. The meticulous planning, the cold-hearted indifference to human life. The jury's verdict was swift and decisive. Guilty. The perpetrators, 4 in total, were sentenced to 240 years in prison, a small measure of justice for the victims and their families. But the fight wasn't over. Ramzi Yousef, the mastermind, remained at large. He was eventually captured in Pakistan in 1995 and extradited to the United States. Found guilty of masterminding the bombing, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Justice, though delayed, had been served. Section 8, Scars and Shadows. The physical scars of the bombing eventually faded. The North Tower, repaired and reinforced, reopened a few weeks after the attack. Life, as it always does, went on. But the psychological scars remained. The bombing of the World Trade Center was a stark reminder of the vulnerability of even the most iconic structures. It cast a long shadow, a premonition of the darkness to come. The attack exposed the growing threat of global terrorism, a threat that would forever change the world. Security measures at airports and public buildings were heightened. The world had been forced to confront a new reality, one where terrorism was no longer a distant threat, but a clear and present danger. Section 9. A Haunting Prelude. The 1993 World Trade Center bombing was a tragedy that shook the nation to its core. The explosion in the underground parking garage of the North Tower was intended to bring down both towers, causing massive destruction and loss of life. Although the plan did not succeed as intended, it left a deep scar on the American psyche. It was also a haunting prelude to the horrors of September 11, 2001. The eerie similarities between the two attacks are hard to ignore, as both targeted the very heart of America's financial district. The mastermind of 9/11, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, was Ramzi Yousef's uncle. This familial connection underscores the chilling continuity of their violent ambitions. The attacks, separated by 8 years, were tragically intertwined. The 1993 bombing was a grim foreshadowing of the catastrophic events that would unfold in 2001. The 1993 bombing served as a chilling reminder that even in the face of adversity, the human spirit endures. Survivors of the attack have shared their harrowing stories, reminding us of the resilience that lies within us all. The resilience of the survivors who faced unimaginable terror and yet found the strength to move forward. The bravery of the first responders who rushed into danger to save lives, and the determination to rebuild stood as a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit. The efforts to reconstruct and memorialize the site were a powerful statement of defiance against those who sought to instill fear. The World Trade Center, once a symbol of American might, became a symbol of something even greater. It transformed into a beacon of resilience and hope, a place where the memories of those lost are honored and where the spirit of unity prevails.